a question. I just really need to know. Do people believe that emotions are evil? I call myself a Jesus follower, if you will, a believer, because I think the Christian word is a little bit chaotic at this point, because everybody has something to say about honing in your emotions and getting your feels under wraps. And I guess they're trying to be cool or something and act like, if you cry or something, you're weak. But that's a huge sweep now that's coming into all these non-denominational churches, because now everybody's a non-denominational church. So is it that you want us to get excited and hyped up and worship? And I even hear come on, let's get into it. And that's not enough. And I don't do well with that type of championship from the pulpit, because I'm like, do you want me to be genuine, or do you want me to fake it till I make it? Because that's not going to work either. So if it's okay to lift your hands and worship and to dance and to, have all these emotions at one juncture of your relationship with Jesus, but then you better tone that down, put a lid on it, because now we're applying the scripture. I'm confused. I really I don't know what to do with that, because I got saved shaking my fist at heaven and cussing. And in fact, I pray and cuss often. I bring all of my emotion to the Lord. And I think the biggest issue is that other people around me don't know how to handle their own emotion, much less mine. So I get deemed being a complainer or a whiner or whatever. I love those that call me crazy. If I had $1, man, I'd probably have a mega church on a big mountainside by now. But I digress. So when I look at my emotional state, the good, the bad, the ugly is big enough for Jesus to handle, I think. I'm pretty certain that he wouldn't say, hey, cut it out, okay? Sit down, take a rest. When you get your emotions in check, we'll talk then. None of that chastising, none of that I'm superior and you better get it together, sister. Pointing to the fingers in the face, that's no bueno either, especially if there's rolling of eyes or if there's the dismissal thing. We've covered that on many topics. I'm willing to bet that all of our emotions pretty much come because they're relatable, because Jesus came in a man form. I think somewhere in the word it says that. Yeah. So he just didn't sin. He came and he expressed, he did it much better than I would, but I also take my transgressions to him. Isn't that where we're supposed to argue it out? So if my emotions make you feel uncomfortable, you just don't get to deem it that I'm complaining because you don't want to hear it. Just admit you don't want to hear it. Just admit you don't have the bandwidth for it. But I'm not going to be labeled something just because it makes other people feel uncomfortable. Jesus can handle my emotions. I mean, I can do it in my prayer closet, but my closest friends, my allies, they're going to be those that get me and understand me. And those are going to be few and far between, which we know both in the world and in Christian circles. That's reality, friends. So I say, you know what? The good, the bad, the ugly, they're just parts of you. And those that are deeply walking with the Lord in tandem and locking arms with you, they're going to be the ones that say, yeah, I get that. Just like Jesus would. They're going to sit down and look across from you and be like, let's talk about it. Let's unpack it. I do that as a profession, and I love it. I am doing exactly what I'm called to do, because I try to portray these messages to masses amount of people at once, and it brought me back to not everybody wants to hear it. Just like everybody doesn't want to hear complaining, not everybody wants to hear truth. Not everybody wants to hear that there's something on the other side of their pain. So just pick your audience. Just pick the people that you can be real and true with. But bring those feelings, because they're legit.